Hello everybody. Glad to see you all here again. So, let's go ahead and turn on the kettle. And I'll get to my channel to see your guys' comments. Alright, so we got SS Tasmania, Tyler, Daniel, hello Daniel, Kevin, and Ozzy as well. Okay, so Cunard, how's it going? Hope you're doing well today, Alex, other than being tired. Yeah, I am tired today. Cuz I'm working on a video for Friday, and so Friday's video is going to be really cool, you guys. It's not like what I usually do. It's just specifically for the Halloween season, and it's about a murder that took place in the 1800s at a park somewhere up here near Portland. And so I think it'll be good for the Halloween season. I think it'll be kind of spooky, but also kind of, just interesting. And of course it takes place in, 1850s. So, but I think you guys will really like it. It'll be kind of a cool little Halloween themed treat for you guys. So today is going to be English breakfast tea. You'll probably hear the kettle going. So for these square teapots, and the brew strength that I like them to be at, I usually need about 2.5 teaspoons of tea, and it's loose leaf tea, which is why I put it in this tea infuser. I realize that not a lot of people actually get to see me use the tea infuser, so they see me drop it in, but they don't know what it is. So I thought, well, I'll show people how I do that. So I use the measuring spoons for that, and then you just screw the lid on. There we go. Set that aside. That's in your guys' way. Should be better. Alright, so Guy says, "Hi Alex, love your videos. Thank you so much." Hey Wyatt, how's it going? Tyler says, "Next month we'll be singing This Is Halloween, This Is Halloween." Yeah, I love that song. That'd be kind of cool. Steve is here. Hey Steve. So I didn't make any sandwiches or anything. I know that I normally do that for these tea times, but I just didn't feel like it, to be honest. You know what's funny is on my screen, on my computer screen, I appear too bright, but when I'm looking at the stream on my phone, I'm not bright enough. I don't get it. There's no... Well, I think I'm bright enough, actually. Well, I could do with... There. We'll see how that does. Just a eensy-weensy bit brighter. So, you guys also notice that I also have my train cam, so you guys can see the trains up close. This time it's pulling the passenger cars. The passenger cars do have lights inside that I installed myself, so those are pretty cool. Tasmania says, "Will you be able to make a Christmas live stream?" I really couldn't say yes or no, because it really depends on what me and my family are doing on Christmas. I could probably do a Christmas Eve live stream, again, if I'm not doing something on Christmas. So it just really depends on what my schedule will be like this year, and I don't know yet what that'll be like. But I do intend to at least try to make a stream somewhere close to Christmas, so that way, people don't have to wait too long before I do another one. So, yeah, bumping that light up a notch did do something. Okay. The lights are really tricky because if I don't light them just right, the dishes will look too blown out, too white, and so it makes it so you can't really see the details. But then I don't want myself to be too dark, so I want you guys to be able to see my face. So, but yeah, it looks good now. I just adjusted the light, so water is boiling. Automatically shuts off when it boils over. Okay. Now we empty out about half. For those who are new to the stream, we do this so that way we're bringing up the temperature of the teapot and the teacup. They are real bone china, and if you just pour straight boiling water into them, they can crack from the thermal shock. So we don't want that to happen. What's also really cool, you guys, is the incredible heat waves we've been having have broken. We've been having some really good weather these last 2 days. Today it's not warm enough to turn on the air conditioning, but it's not quite cool enough to feel 100% comfortable in this jacket. So appreciate that I dress up for you guys and I don't just walk into these things wearing just any old thing that I throw on. Alright, that's all for now. We just let those come up to a slightly higher temperature. So yeah, so I didn't make any sandwiches or anything. The only thing I have is my Scottish shortbread. Again, I normally also have McVitie's on the plate as well, but the McVitie's I got a couple weeks ago were delivered during a heat wave, and they were just glued together with all the chocolate that they were covered in. They are not separatable. You can't separate them. I've tried. So I would have to order a whole new set, and I'd rather eat all the ones I have than... And I could put them on here, but literally, I'd be chipping away at them like a block of ice. That's how they come off. They just break apart in huge, like, weird, oddly shaped chunks, and it's just not presentable for a tea time, you know? But yeah. Hey, Ken, how's it going? I got behind on comments while I was talking to myself. Okay, so I answered that one. Let's see. Guy says, Alex, I was on the Queen Mary around the same time as you in January 2020. I found my grandparents on the passenger list, and last week found a photo of them in the second-class dining room. Oh, wow. Only recognized it thanks to your videos. She always said she went first class. We were shocked. Well, you know, if you're going to tell people that you traveled aboard the Queen Mary, you know, you're more likely to tell all your friends you went first class, and then... They wouldn't know the difference, right? You know? Steve says, by the way, I love the curved trestle bridge on the layout. Thank you so much. I built that all from scratch. That was not a model kit. Originally, I had intended to buy a model kit with a trestle, and I thought, that'll be easy. But then I looked at all the model kits, and they were like $300 for a trestle, and it wasn't even the trestle I needed. And then I looked into someone building one for me. A couple years back when I was still living in Southern California, I went to a train show, found a guy who makes this kind of stuff, and I said, would you make this for me? And he said, yeah, here's how much I'd charge. And it was like $600. And I was like, no, I'll do this myself. So I bought special scale lumber. So the lumber is in scale. It would be 1 foot wide by 6 inches thick, and so using that, I was able to actually cut lumber and glue some of them together so that instead of being a 6 inch by 1 foot, I could put them together and make a block that is 1 foot by 1 foot. And so that's what the big beams are designed to be. And then I also, the crisscrossing bents along the trestle, those are coffee stir sticks. Those are wooden coffee stir sticks. And in scale, they are 1 foot wide by about 3 inches deep. And so they work. I mean, all of it works in scale with this train thing. So I built the whole thing myself, cut all the pieces out, and then I dyed all the wood because it had to look like old wood, like it's been sitting out in the sun for like decades. So I dyed all of it using India ink. And yeah, then I started assembling the whole thing myself. I had to assemble it upside down, you guys, because I wanted the surface to be perfectly flat, and the only way you can guarantee a perfectly flat surface is to build it upside down, so that way gravity keeps it, you know. So I built the whole thing upside down and then turned it right side up and installed it. That's how I built the trestle bridge. So yeah, that was no easy task. There are exactly 3 bridges on this whole layout. The trestle bridge is the largest one, but you can kind of see in the corner of that screen, the right corner, there is a small pony truss bridge that goes over the river. And so there's a little pony truss bridge there. And then behind me, I'm almost covering it. Well, actually, the locomotive's going over it right now. Is a small truss bridge. So, yeah. So there's 3 different kinds of bridges and 3 different sizes. So, pretty cool. Tasmania says, what tea is it this time? Today it is English breakfast tea. Fluffy says, saw your LMG Vids live stream. I 100% agreed with your take on this year's D23 announcements. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed. I went in so excited. I honestly believed that there would be so many cool things that they were going to announce this year. And so I went into that live stream totally excited. And as the live stream progressed, I was starting to think more and more, it's not going to be a good announcement this year. And it wasn't. I really disliked it. So, unfortunate. Hey, Malibu Company. Russell says, has any Cunard liners run aground, not sunk or capsized? Yeah. In fact, the RMS Queen Mary did run aground at one point. It actually happened when the Queen Mary was being transported down the Clyde. So she had just finished being built, and she was being transported down the Clyde River towards the ocean, and she got stuck on a sandbar while they were transporting her, and she was being pulled by tugs at that point. But yeah, it took something like, I think, 10 tugboats to free her from the sandbar. And I have footage of it somewhere, and I'll eventually post it on my channel. But yeah, it took a lot of tugboats to free her from the sandbar. And then they did a quick inspection because they were really afraid, like, oh my gosh, we must have, ruined the propellers or something. Something must be damaged. No, she came out completely undamaged from that. But yes, there are instances of Cunard liners that have run aground on certain things like shoals or beaches and stuff like that. But yeah, the only one I can think of off the top of my head is the Queen Mary. Daniel says, what are your thoughts on Victorian-era British steam locomotives or British steam locomotives in general? Victorian-era steam locomotives that are British, are nicer looking than the ones that were like, let's say, you know, Edwardian or Georgian, or even the ones that lasted into the Elizabethan era. But I still prefer American locomotives overall. There are like a select few European and UK locomotives that I think are very nice looking, but extremely select. I'm not a European locomotive person. I really like American locomotives. Okay, so it is time to brew the tea for sure. I actually waited a bit too long. I could have. It only takes a few minutes just to let the teapot warm up, but I was busy talking to you guys, so I didn't think about it. But so we just let the water come back up to a boil. Conrad says, Alex, would you be interested in building out portions of other people's models for money? I thought about it, but I'm not so skilled that I could do whatever they wanted. And granted, I guess during a consultation, I could let that be known. So it's not like I have to like immediately guarantee that I can build whatever anybody wants. I can build stuff from the Old West. Stuff that looks run down and dilapidated. In fact, I have something... You guys haven't seen this yet, and I'll try to show you. So this is... Hold on. Camera's not. Come on. So this is an outhouse. I know it's hard to see, but I made it myself. It's made with several different, like, slats of wood and stuff. Yeah, I know it's hard to see. But anyway, yeah. I made it out of the same wood. Now I gotta recenter the thing. Oh yeah, you guys can't even see that because I'm like... Well, anyway, I did my best. I can't always see what the camera sees, so... Anyway, so I can make stuff that's pretty, like, old-fashioned and beat-up looking. And, but that's about where my skill ends on that, when it comes to scratch building. Okay, so let's fill this up. Oh, I can't see. Okay. Let's drop the tea in there. Goes in for 5 minutes. So that'll be 424. But yeah, I mean, I did think about building models for people, and that is something I would be interested in doing, given the time, you know, I have and stuff like that. So, but it would have to be very specific things, simply because I'm not 100% skilled at everything. So, sorry. Move that closer. SS Tasmania, that sounds cool. Daniel says, Alex, were there ships that were beached to avoid sinking? I mean, yes, of course. I mean, you name it, somewhere, somehow, a ship has been through it. You know, there had to have been. But if you're asking me to name it, I couldn't name it. I couldn't tell you. Queen Elizabeth ran into quicksand in the brambles once just out of Southampton? How does a ship run into quicksand? Air says, do you play period video games? Technically, I have to say no, because I don't do it consistently, and I don't just play any video games. I'm not a video game player. There is evidence on my channel that I have played with simulators. Like, I have a Titanic simulator, I have a Disneyland Railroad simulator, I have a train simulator from the, Steam era. That's about it. But I try not to say yes to those things because then people assume that I do play, and I don't really. I haven't, played any of those games for real since the live streams that I did them on. So I don't really play games. I'm not a game person, I don't play games. Pookie Smoochie's here. You made it. Mark says, fantastic to see you, Alex, at the garage waiting for a quick car repair this morning. Oh, I hope it goes well. Hope they don't charge you too much. This is Tasmania. Why are people keep asking me that? I don't understand why they keep asking me that. Cossie. I don't have an interest in the history of the World Trade Center, no. Conrad says, I build stuff that looks run down and dilapidated. Is that a boast or a confession? A little bit of both. Doc says, yay, it's Alex. I recently saw your painting video. Have you done any more painting since The Raven? How long have you been making art? I've been working on art and stuff since I could remember. I've always loved making things. Whether it's food, models, painting, drawing. I'm a better sketch artist than I am a painter. I'm a better cook than I am a sketch artist. So I'm very interested in artistic things that require me to use my hands to make stuff. So I like working with real mediums. So I've had friends in the past that try to convince me to go to digital art and make digital art. I can't do that. I like real stuff. But yeah, I've been making stuff ever since I was a kid. But as for since I made The Raven, no, I haven't done any painting. I did move apartments since then, so I don't live in the same apartment I did then. And I don't know. I don't have the space or the time to make art. I thought I did. That's why I had started the second channel. But it turned out I just didn't have time to work on the second channel at all. No time at all. I spend every waking hour working on this channel. And that's something a lot of people, I think a lot of the critics that come to my channel, they don't understand. They think I'm just some guy who I take 5 minutes out of my day and drop a video. I don't think they realize, I spend every waking hour of my week working on this channel. So, but yeah, that's the reason why I couldn't maintain the second channel. So I feel bad because I got everybody to go there, and then I couldn't keep making stuff. So, Yachty says, your background music sounds great. Thanks. I did raise the volume a little bit. I can't raise it too much because, like I said in the last stream, I'm really afraid of... I'll give it 30 more seconds. I'm really afraid of getting, copyright strikes because this music is copyrighted. But you can find this whole playlist. I have a link down in the description for my friend Shiloh's channel. He's HenryHallFan. And on his channel, he has all kinds of band music from the 30s and 40s. It's really great, and so the playlist you're hearing right now is from his channel. Alright, give that a quick stir. I made the tea nice and strong today because I am so sleepy. I've been working on this video. Thankfully, the video is almost done. It'll be released to members of my channel and to Patreon members who are paying for that service. And then Friday, it will be released publicly to everybody. And so, yeah, when you guys see it on Friday, I think you guys will really like the video. Okay. Oddly enough, I'm not getting burnt today by touching everything. I say that, now I'm gonna, like, touch the lid of this thing and get scalded. Alright. Some sugar. And yes, somebody did ask me the last 2 streams whether I'll make a video about this tea set that I have and the history and stuff behind it. And I think that's a good idea because a lot of people ask me about it, and I feel like every single tea time stream I'm talking about it, and I don't mind talking about it. I mean, I figured that's what would happen, but it'd be kind of cool for you guys to see, like, officially a video about this tea set and stuff like that. So, and then I did previously film a video on how I make the tea sandwiches, so I could also put that on there. I think I filmed a whole video, actually, on how I do all of this, so that's good. Now a little bit of milk. A little bit. I'm going to put a lot of milk in there. I use oat milk because I'm really lactose intolerant. All right. Rayanne says, nice job constructing it. My dad used to make things for his set. I need to get it all out from the boxes and set it up. Oh, nice. Yeah, I've always wanted to have, like, a big model railroad layout. This is my 3rd one, actually. But they do take a lifetime to make, honestly, because they cost so much money. And they take so much time, so. Tyler says, I have read the Brambles as a very dangerous sandbank just out of the Solent in Southampton. And someone actually call it quicksand to me. I see. Pookie Smoochie says, describe your ideal meal, Chef Alex. My ideal meal. Crawfish étouffée. That's my ideal meal. I just really love étouffées, and especially with crawfish. So, yeah. It's, you know, and it's not exactly like a 5-star meal, although some 5-star places do serve them. But it's delicious. It's just absolutely delicious. Doc says, Alex, I'm a psychologist, and I also do artwork on the side. If you like mediums, collage is fun mixing mediums. When you find time gluing pieces together, painting on them can be less time consuming. That's true. Cunard says, at Pearl Harbor, the battleship USS Nevada was run aground purposely to avoid sinking Russell Cooper. Interesting. That was a good movie. Well, at least I remember it being a good movie. I haven't seen it since it came out. Russell says, could the Lusitania beat the Mauretania in a race? As far as I understand it, no. Mauretania was the faster of the two. Just the same as Queen Mary was the faster between her and Queen Elizabeth. there was no way Queen Elizabeth could match Queen Mary's speed. And same thing with Lusitania could not match Mauritania's speed. Yadi says, thanks for the link to the music. You're welcome. Henry Castillo says, hi Alex, what's your favorite room or section from the Queen Mary and why? My favorite room on the Queen Mary is the first class main lounge, but mainly as it used to look. The reason why is because it's a grand and open space. When it was in its prime, it was absolutely beautiful. The way that the lights were set up. I mean, even my friend Steve and I, we were talking, I think it was before or after our Saturday stream that we did. And we were talking about how the lighting in that room today is not the same lighting it used to be, even though they're in the same spots. Because back then, the lighting used to shine like rays of sunlight into the room, spotlighting certain things, and it looked beautiful. And it's not like that today. And so people look at it, and it just doesn't have that same charm, that same grandeur of beauty that it used to have. And so people think it never did, but when you look at the old photos, it's like, holy cow, this was once a beautiful room. So that is why the first class main lounge is my favorite room on the Queen Mary. Ken says, the locomotive for my new train set is coming in the mail today. Can't wait. Awesome. I hope you enjoy it. And you got to show me pictures, of course. Ozzy says, how is your weather today? We did have a late storm last night here in Fort Mojave, Arizona. The last 2 days we've had overcast skies, which I love. I mean, I moved up here to Oregon because I love the clouds, the rain, the snow. I love all the weather that a lot of people claim they hate. So I love the cold. Oh my gosh, I love the cold. I couldn't wear this if it wasn't cold. I'm telling you right now, you guys. I love wearing my jackets. I love buying these nice jackets and being all dressed up when I go out and stuff. I couldn't do that in Southern California because it was always so hot. I had to wear comfortable clothing, and so I don't know. I don't like to wear comfortable clothing. So I don't like to wear like stuff that, you know, tortures me. I'm not saying that, but you know, so yeah, the weather these last 2 days has been overcast and cold. Well, I wouldn't say cold. It's 73, 74 degrees outside right now. So Fahrenheit, that is. Yeah, it's been good, and it's going to get a little bit colder as the days go on. I definitely can tell that fall time is here, like autumn is here, because, well, one of the things I love about living up here is that there are actual seasons. When I lived in Southern California, there were no seasons. It looked the same year-round, and the temperatures were relatively the same year-round, except for summer, which was unbelievably hot. But up here, there's actual seasons. The trees actually turn orange and red and yellow during the autumn, and it's beautiful. I was just telling my sister yesterday, I was like, you know, I can't wait for autumn. I always thought my whole life growing up in Southern California, my favorite season would be winter, because I never got to see snow. I never got to see trees shed all their leaves for winter. You know, I've never seen that kind of stuff. And so I always thought that winter would be my favorite season, especially because Christmas is my favorite holiday. Well, when I moved up here, I realized later on that actually my favorite season is autumn. Because even though winter is just as wonderful and beautiful as I've always imagined it to be, autumn is just gorgeous. Just all the colors and the smell in the air. There's this beautiful feeling of autumn up here. I know I'm talking a lot about it. I love Oregon. I do not miss California at all. I love Oregon. Oh my gosh. So yeah, but we've been having good weather. Thanks for asking. Brian says, I will look forward to your video on Friday. Also, my cousin's son went to London to Westminster Hall to pay his respects to Queen Elizabeth II, who is lying in state there. Oh, that's really nice. I didn't know she was already there. Although that makes sense that she is already there, because I think they transported her just the other day. But I wish I could be there to walk past her, you know, while she's lying in state. But you know, it's funny because I was talking to my friend Chris, and you know, we had a plan that when we save up the money, or when I save up the money, he probably has the money already, but when I save up the money, I'm gonna take a transatlantic crossing on the Queen Mary 2 to get to the UK, and we're gonna explore the UK and take videos and stuff like that. And the thing was we were both thinking, we never said it out loud until after Her Majesty passed away, but we were thinking internally that it would be really cool to get there to the UK while the Queen was still around, you know, while the Queen was still alive. And then after she died, you know, we were having a conversation, and we both had the same idea. We both said, oh yeah, we were hoping to be there, you know, while she was still alive, but, you know, while we could still say we were there during the Elizabethan era. But, yeah, that was, you know, a disappointment in itself. But as you guys know, I'm, you know, a huge fan of, you know, Queen Elizabeth II. And so I was very, very sad to wake up that morning to everybody texting me. I mean, everybody, all my friends and family who know me, who know about my admiration for the Queen, were all texting me saying, did you hear she died? And that's how I woke up that morning. And I was just completely in shock, because I know that hours before people were saying that she was being monitored by her doctors, but I didn't even see that news. So I just woke up one morning thinking she was mostly healthy, and then just suddenly thinking, oh my gosh, the Queen has died, you know. So that was quite a shock. And I'm still somewhat shocked. And you know, it's funny, and I know that some people might think it's silly, but later that night, what is that? Oh well. Later that night, it finally sunk in. You know, her death finally just sunk in. And, you know, I shed a few tears. Granted, I never personally knew her, so I couldn't cry the way that I, you know, cry when my grandmother died, you know. But it was very sad, you know. She's the only monarch I've ever really known on the British throne, just as much as anybody else either, you know. So, and it's the end of an era, so yeah, that was pretty sad. But let's see. Bonjour, Jake. Conrad says, crawfish étouffée for any non-French like me. Yes. Lightning McQueen says, hey Alex, I'm here. Hello, Lightning. Conrad says, just as the train leaves the trestle, on the main view of the webcam, it appears behind you on your main cam. Yep. That was the goal, was that you could see it both behind me, and you could have your own view of it as it crosses over the trestle. Tyler says, Alex, there is a Nashville known to those... What? Living in Indiana, and it's beautiful in the fall. I see. Ozzy says, it's funny about my dad passed, then the Queen passed away the next day. Oh my gosh. So, oh wow, I'm so sorry. Why it says, I actually military folded my United Kingdom flag in the middle of my high school's football field in honor of her and carried it all day. The wait could be 30 hours to see the Queen lying in state. Oh my gosh. That's actually pleasantly surprising to know that there's still so many people who care. The last few days have definitely been quite a day for the anti-monarchists to make their point. Doc says, will you get into the Halloween spirit now that you're in Oregon? Costume ideas? Will your train set be decked out? I can't wear costumes. First of all, I have nowhere to go where I can wear a costume. I'm too old to wear a costume. And yeah, I just can't wear a costume. But as for decking out the train set, no, I mean, I wouldn't know how. I wouldn't know what to do. I don't really like Halloween decorations. Russell says, do you think there will be a liner named after the new king in the future? I think if enough people like him, because at the moment, nobody's really sure what kind of king he will be. It's too soon to know. But if enough people like him, they might name a Cunard ship after him. Or any liner, at least. I mean, at the same time, again, that goes into our old conversation. Will any other company make an ocean liner? I really don't think so. I think Cunard will be the last company to be making ocean liners. But will Cunard make a ship named after him? I don't know. They have a tradition of either using the names with IA or Queen. You know, a queen ship. So a king ship is extremely uncommon. Extremely uncommon. So I don't know. It's a really complex question. But yeah, I don't know. Conrad says, I have a near path crossing story of the Queen. During the winter of 82-83, I worked at a florist delivering flowers. The owner made a small blue bouquet for Queen Elizabeth for some function. Oh, interesting. Evan says, I can't wait to see the Queen Mary in person. Yeah, I know, me too. I really want to see the Queen Mary this year. I'm going to be going down to Southern California anyway. I really want the ship to be open so I can visit the ship, take the video I need, because I have so many Queen Mary videos I could make for you guys, but I can't make the videos without the footage. A friend of mine who takes really good video footage, I like the footage that he shoots, has offered to take footage for me regardless, and I will take him up on that offer if I can't get there. But I would like to take the footage myself because I already know exactly what to look at, what to point the camera towards, and you know, that kind of thing. So I'd rather do it myself if I can. So we'll see. But yeah, he will be there filming the ship even if I'm not there. So I'm sure his channel will have like walkthroughs and stuff of the ship. Lina McQueen says, almost everywhere I see flags half-mast. Yeah. Conrad says, I had nothing to do with it, did not even deliver it. The owner delivered it himself. Yeah, I imagine. Jake says, Alex, it's only the 15th day of spring, but I'm already in a t-shirt and shorts with jandals? I don't know what a jandal is. 15th day of spring. Interesting. I forget that you're on the opposite side of the planet, so up here it's becoming autumn, but you're having spring. That's interesting. I have a question for some of my Aussie and Kiwi friends. So for us, obviously, Christmas happens in winter, you know. Halloween happens in autumn or fall, you know. So my question is, do you guys, I know this is stupid, but I've never asked this question before. Do you guys celebrate Christmas at the same time of year? Do you consider it a winter holiday, even though for you it's like summer? I'm really curious to know. And I know it probably sounds so stupid, but I've never asked that question before because I've never really wanted to reveal my lack of knowledge about the opposite side of the planet, you know, the underside of the planet. But I do wonder. I do wonder. Fun Edits is here. Hello. Ozzy says, does Chris wear a Halloween costume? No. He looks scary enough. Jake says, Alex, one of my teachers from my school had met the Queen when she came to New Zealand in 2002, just after her sister and mother died. That must have been a really tough year for her. Danielle says, hey, Alex, what would happen if RMS Queen Elizabeth never caught on fire? Well, the ship would have continued to be a university, a floating university. It would have sailed to various ports along the Pacific. She probably would have had another 10 to 15 years of life. But after that, hard to say. She might have been sold off as a tourist attraction or possibly faced the scrapyard. But for certain, she would have been a floating university. Jake says, jandals are like flip-flops. That reminds me of sandals. We call them sandals here. Fun Edit says, I got a question. Was Queen Mary Queen Elizabeth the Second's mother? Queen Elizabeth II's mother. No. This is where it gets a little bit complicated for people who don't know. But Her Majesty Queen Mary was the consort of the monarch, King George V. Queen Mary was Queen Elizabeth II's grandmother. Queen Elizabeth II's mother was Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother. So her mom had the same name. Queen, her same name was Elizabeth. And just to make sure that people remember, Queen Elizabeth II isn't called the second because she's named after her mother. She's called the second because she's the second monarch with the name Queen Elizabeth. But that's just for my friends who don't know. But yes, so Queen Mary was Queen Elizabeth II's grandmother, but her own mother was Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother. And you could just say Queen Elizabeth, but most people would think of Queen Elizabeth II, so it's always easier just to say Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother, because that's what people remember. And the Queen Mother was not the monarch either. She was the consort of King George VI of Britain. So, yeah, that's how it goes. But Queen Elizabeth II, in her early years, she was able to get a lot of advice from Queen Mary, because what a lot of people don't know about Queen Mary was, even though she was really just the consort of the king, there was a time when the king became extremely ill. This was just before his death. He became extremely ill and pretty much bedridden. And the queen, well, she was called Queen Mother back then, but Queen Mary, his wife, had been doing all the engagements on his behalf. So she would act on behalf of the king. And so she had a little taste of what it was like to be a monarch herself. And in fact, she and her husband were the ones that came up with a lot of, for the lack of better words, the way of doing things in the Windsor house. So the things you see Queen Elizabeth II doing and the things you'll see King Charles III doing, a lot of those were established by Queen Mary and the King George V. So, yeah, pretty cool. And a lot of the reason for that was because Queen Mary and King George V, they were around during the First World War, and during the First World War there was a lot of an anti-German sentimentality. And Queen Mary and the king were of German ancestry, so they dropped their German last name and adopted Windsor as their last name, which was a very English name. And so ever since then, the house has been named the House of Windsor. So a lot of interesting stuff there. Tyler says, I was the undead Benjamin Guggenheim one Halloween. Oh my gosh. Jake says, oh my god, I wrote the whole thing, but it was too long. Oh boy. Well, hopefully someone can answer. Because I'm really curious. Okay, so Jake did answer right afterwards. Okay, Jake says, we still have Christmas in December, but some people do it on the beach, and we have a national Christmas tree called the Pohutakawa tree with red flowers, but a lot of people still use a normal one. Interesting. Wow. So I bet when you guys think of Christmas, the thing that comes to mind is family get-togethers in the sun, and beach weather and stuff. That probably comes to your mind when you guys think of Christmas. When I think of Christmas, I think of snow and the cold and a warm house with, lots of fatty foods being cooked. So, it's interesting. Kevin says, well, here in Toronto, most federal buildings got their flags half-mast for the Queen passing, but 2 police officers also passed away too. Oh, I see. Yeah, Dangerous Brian. Yeah, he says that Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, was originally called Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon. But, you know, before she and her husband became, you know, the monarch and the consort, they were the Duke and Duchess of York as well. So that was an interesting thing because Edward VIII abdicated, and that automatically made his brother the king simply because Edward VIII didn't have children. So there was no one to take up the monarchy after that. And what's really interesting to think was, imagine if Edward VIII did have children. They would have been really, really young, too young to run the country. So King George the what am I trying to say? Albert, who became George VI, he would have become the I think the Prince Regent. He would have been the Prince Regent if his brother had children. And the reason why is because you need a monarch. You need someone to run the country no matter what. And the children would have been too young if he had children. So he would have become the Prince Regent when you think about it. And he would have run the country himself until his nephew or niece, whatever they would have been, would have come to age. Interesting little thought there. But of course, that's entirely hypothetical. Yeah, Tyler's right. King George VI wasn't supposed to be king originally. Jake says, we get all 6 weeks off of school in the end of December and all of January. Oh, okay. That's a lot like here. We get a public holiday on the 26th of September for Queen Elizabeth II. September. Okay, to honor her. Will that be a one-time thing? Is it just for this year because of her death? Doc says, I love these history lessons. What's the chance William will be king one day? Is he next in line? Yes, William is next in line after his father. So if King Charles III, if he were to die, his son would become king. If he were to abdicate, his son would become king. And so, yeah, that's how it goes. There's a line of succession. So there's a lot of people wonder, you know, because they don't know how the line of succession works. So they think, oh, well, if Charles abdicates, then one of his brothers or his sister would be king or queen. But that's not how the line of succession works. So it would have to be his son, William. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who have said, oh, well, you know, let's hope that the king abdicates so that way we get William. And I will admit, you know, it would be amazing to have William as a king, you know, but, yeah, it really does nothing to think those things. Russell says, any idea how deep the water is where the RMS Queen Mary is docked? Yes. So depending on the tide, because again, the tide is constantly changing, there could be just about 12 feet of water underneath the keel of the Queen Mary. But of course, again, that's all depending on the tide. That could range from, you know, a depth of 8 feet to, you know, to a depth of 16 feet, depending on the tide. So, you know, it really just depends on the tide. Ozzy says, this is for Alex. What if now this is who will be next in line to throne? I don't understand your question. What if now this is who will be next in line to throne? I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. Fun Edit says, Alex, what YouTubers do you know? So I personally know LMG Vids. He's my friend. I know a YouTuber their channel is Interactive Realm, so he's a friend of mine. There's also Expedition Steve, he's a friend of mine. Let's see. I am less acquainted with the following, but I do know them. Dallin from Offhand Disney. Let's see. I know there's like a bunch of them. I've talked to a bunch of them before. It's not coming to mind. I mean, I asked Dallin the other day, because I am planning on making a video about Pirates of the Caribbean. And I know he has a thing for Jean Lafitte. So I said to him, I said, would you mind doing a cameo on my video for Jean Lafitte? And he said, sure, you know, and he was really excited to do it. I was excited to do it. But then I got busy with other projects and I couldn't work on that video. So I didn't get back to him on it. But yeah, so that's something fun. I have never met Resort TV 1, but I have spoken to them before. Yeah, let's see. Oh, I've exchanged a few words with Historic Travels, but I wouldn't say I know him. You know, I wouldn't say that like we've become friends or something yet, because I think we've only said a few things to each other. There's another ocean liner person, and they're escaping my memory right now. There's another ocean liner person that I've spoken to. I don't remember. But, you know, I run into YouTubers a lot, you know, on my channel. You know, it's almost like a like a world within itself, the YouTube community. And even though there's like millions of YouTubers out there, it still feels like a really small community. Like you end up running into people that you're like, oh, I have no idea. Oh, another YouTuber I've spoken to a few times, really just exchanging words, but Peter Dibble, who makes really great videos about various like topics and stuff like that. So I have spoken to Peter Dibble on my channel. But yeah, so yeah, there's just like a lot of random YouTubers and stuff that I occasionally meet and talk to. Are any of my other friends YouTubers? I don't want to leave anybody out that I can't think of, but yeah, I don't know. Jake says, Alex, did you know Queen Mary was the second, or Queen Elizabeth II, was the second longest reigning monarch in history? Yes, I did know that. Corey Williams says, Alex, what time is it? It's 5:03 p.m. here. Ozzy says, who will be next in line after King Charles? After King Charles is his son, William. Pookie Smoochy says, I cried when the Queen died, too. Kevin says, in Canada, there's going to be a federal holiday for the Queen's funeral. I see. Wyatt Horn says, Ocean Liner Designs. I've never spoken to Ocean Liner Designs before. Oh, another YouTube friend of mine is somebody you guys know, Steve Oblonsi from Blue Ribbon Productions. So he has a few videos on his channel. Yeah. Jake says, part-time explorer. Have I spoken to him before? I don't think I've spoken to him before. Oh, but I have had a quick exchange, and I mean quick, exchange with James Penka from Titanic Honor and Glory. He's the creative director. So I did have a quick back and forth with him, only because he watched one of my videos where I was exploring Titanic Honor and Glory and the game. And so, yeah, he complimented me in some way. I don't remember what it was. And I was like, oh, thank you, and stuff like that. So it was kind of something quick like that, but... Okay. Yeah, part-time explorer is Tom Linsky. Ah. It's squeaking again. It was not squeaking when I got it running at the beginning of the live stream. Now it is. I guess I'm just doomed to oil up that engine every time I run it. We call McDonald's Macca's. Doc says, is Camilla the Queen now? She is, yes, she's the Queen Consort, but she's not the Monarch. The Monarch is her husband, King Charles III. But Camilla is the Queen Consort. Okay, let's see. Oh, still pretty warm. Okay. I'm gonna heat this up really quick. I want the teacup to be nice and hot because I don't want the tea to get cold so quickly. Everybody, what Jake is saying is that Queen Elizabeth II is the second longest reigning monarch in the world, not in the UK. So everybody here is saying, no, she's the longest in the UK, which is true. But Queen Elizabeth II is the longest reigning monarch in the world. And that's what Jake is trying to say. Ozzy says Alex didn't burn his fingers today. No, surprisingly I did not. Surprisingly I did not burn my fingers today. I'm waiting for that thing to... KR Doodle says, why do you think everyone is dissatisfied with King Charles as the monarch? I don't want to get into that. I don't like to gossip. You know, there's something funny about Dolly Parton. You guys know Dolly Parton, the famous country singer. She said something which I thought was just amazing. They asked her one time, they said, how come you never express your opinions about politics? Why don't you know, what president do you like? What do you think about the current politicians in office? She says, my job is to entertain people, nothing else. She says, none of my business to tell people what to think or to say. And I loved how she said that. I take that to heart. I'm the same thing. As a YouTuber, I mean, I don't call myself an influencer, but YouTubers can influence people. I don't want to influence people's ideas of somebody or something. I want them to be able to draw those conclusions for themselves in their own ways. And so, yeah, just like Dolly Parton, I don't want to... My job isn't to tell people what I think about politics. It's just to entertain you. So... Although I guess the only political thing I will say is that I do really like Queen Elizabeth II, so... There we go. Kevin says Louis XIV is the longest reigning monarch. Yeah, he oh yeah, Jake said he reigned for 72 years. That is crazy to reign for 72 years. But then again, he had an added advantage, which I think was he was the monarch since he was a teenager. So, he had that kind of advantage. Jake says, Alex, do you watch The Crown? Yes, I do. And of course, as everybody should know, The Crown is not an accurate retelling of history. It's a very dramatized retelling of history. But I like it because it's a fun drama. It's a fun, entertaining thing to watch. So, but yeah, I do watch The Crown. I also really liked Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey is actually my favorite. So, but yeah, I liked The Crown because at least it kind of showed some entertaining aspects of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Ozzy says, how was your ice cream the other day with your sister? It was good. I only really got to eat one of the scoops, though, because I ordered 3 scoops, but we had to leave. We didn't have time to eat, so... Well, I didn't have time to eat. So, I had to throw it away, unfortunately. I only got to eat one of the flavors, so that was it. But it was nice while it lasted. Ozzy, remember to ask your questions only once. If I skip them, then you can ask it again, but I didn't skip your question. I was barely going down the list. Jake says, guys, I just saw this. It's about Titanic wreck. Willem says, "Hello, Alex. I'm a new subscriber. Can you go to Queen Elizabeth's funeral? Don't mind my spelling. Unfortunately, her funeral is happening in the UK, and it's happening over the next few days. Or, yeah, something along those lines. I do not have the money to travel there. I'd love to go, but even if I had the money right now, I don't have a passport. So I'd have to apply for a passport. That takes months. So I unfortunately will not be there for her funeral." Yeah, so Jake says, "I put a link. I don't know if you can see it." No, there's no link. But it's also possible because YouTube doesn't allow links to anything other than YouTube videos. Yeah. So the video coming out this Friday is going to be really cool. Again, for those who are just tuning in, it's not like my usual stuff. It's not an ocean liner video. It's not a video about Disneyland or anything. It's a Halloween themed video, but it's a video about a murder that took place at a park just south of Portland, Oregon. And I've been to this park before, and I thought it was a really cool story, and it's pretty eerie, and it'll be perfect for the Halloween season. So yeah, be sure to tune in this Friday for that video. I haven't decided on a name for the video yet, actually, because I don't know why, but I've had difficulty choosing a name for this video. So I don't know. I'll have a video name for it by the end of today. But yeah, so tune in for that. Today's Wednesday, right? So let's see. Saturday, I don't think I have any live streams planned for Saturday. Sunday will be the next tea time. So yes. Jake says it's a YouTube link. Yeah, I don't see a link there. Willem says, "Just call me Ruben." I hope I'll remember that. Okay, Jake, I'll see you later. Cunard says, "King Louis XIV became king at age 5, but didn't start ruling until age 13, coronated at age 15, died days shy of turning 77, so ruled about 63 years. Interesting. See you later, fun edits." Oh, Jake, you're back. That was a fast speech. So yeah, the video is about a murder. It took place in the 1800s. It's really like, it's a brief story, but it's really interesting, you know. And I visited the park, and I took a bunch of video of the park and stuff like that. And I think it'll be a nice, eerie little Halloween video for you guys. And then I'm hoping afterwards I'll work on the video about the spruce goose, or H4 Hercules, as it should be known. I've been trying to work on that video for a while now, but I run on a schedule, so I have to have a video out every Friday. And if one video takes too long to make, like my last video was about Queen Mary's hull, I ended up having to make some corrections to that video last minute, which meant that I didn't get to release it till Saturday. So that dug into some of my time to making the video about the H4 Hercules, and so I had to postpone that another week. So that's why I worked on this video this week. I wanted to release it next week so it'd be closer to Halloween, but oh well. But yeah, so I should have plenty of time this week and next week to get out the video of the H4 Hercules. We'll see. Oxford historian tried Stormworks. You can use ships there. I have no idea what that is. Alex is the only person I would watch at an event like the Queen's funeral. Unique perspective as always. Oh, thank you. Danielle says, hey Alex, what kind of bow does Queen Mary have, and why does it look different than other ships like Mauritania? I don't think there's a name for Queen Mary's bow, and her bow doesn't really look different from other ships. I mean, it looks different from Mauritania's, but only a little bit. It's just got a slight rake to it, you know. Mauritania's bow had a rake. I don't know what the degree was, but it wasn't perfectly vertical. So Queen Mary's raked bow was just slightly more, and then Queen Elizabeth's was even more than that. But I couldn't tell you what angle it was. I don't know. Cunard says, any ghosts involved in this murder story? No ghosts. Although whenever I do walk through that park, it is a little bit eerie. There's like, even before I knew the story about the ghost there, the park did feel a bit eerie. There's a weird feeling there, especially when you're walking alone through the woods. So it's got a weird feeling there. But yeah, other than that, there's no ghosts to the story. It's really more about the murder. So, Jake says, it wasn't... Oh, I see. It wasn't a long one. It was just for the cannon salute for Her Majesty the Queen and His Majesty the King. I see. Russell Cooper says, how many anchors can a ship have? As many as they wish to put. Honestly, it really doesn't... There's no limit, technically. Queen Mary had 3 anchors that could be dropped. Queen Elizabeth had 4. Yeah, because technically a ship can drop a stern anchor, which isn't as big or as heavy, but they use it on rare occasion. But Queen Mary had 2 bow anchors. Well, Queen Elizabeth had 3 bow anchors. So, yeah, it really depends. Stormworks is a game, I see. I don't play games, I'm sorry. I'm not a gamer. Justin says, one of the late kings of Swaziland in the 1980s passed away, having reigned for 82 years at least, and Pepi II of ancient Egypt died, having reigned for 92 years, having been crowned at age 6 or so. Those are the most verifiable monarchs to have reigned that long, but I think there are 1 or 2 others that are in contention elsewhere, but that's what I recall. Doc says, was Queen Elizabeth II the first monarch to keep animals in such large amounts like her corgis and horses? Oh no, certainly not. Even Queen Victoria was a fan of her dogs. She had lots of dogs. Drew Doherty said, hey there, sent you a work for Disney announced retheme of Splash Mountain into Princess and the Frog. They've also announced a movie based on the Haunted Mansion. Are you aware of that? Oh yeah, I'm fully aware of all that. Daniel says, I meant, why does Queen Mary's stern look different from other ships like Mauritania? I have a video about that. So if you go to my video, it's actually the most recent video I released. It's called Queen Mary, A Whole Lot to Know. So I would go see that. Willem says, what were the differences on Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth? you'd have to ask something way more specific than that, because I could be here all day, and I don't want to list all that stuff. So if you have a specific question about that, I can try to answer it. To the best of my knowledge, though. I'm not an expert on Queen Elizabeth. Today feels weird. There's something up with the weather today. Feels strange. I think 2 weeks ago or something, there was a tornado in Scotland, which is really strange. You don't expect to see a tornado in Scotland. Anywho, yeah. Well, it seems the chat has gone completely silent, so I guess that means it's time for me to go. But anyway, folks, thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, keep an eye out for the video that is being posted on Friday. For my paying channel members, you get to see it later tonight, because, you know, you pay for that service. So, but yeah, Friday is when the other video will officially release. Oh, here's all the questions. Are there a lot of records about how holidays were celebrated on the Queen Mary? Like, records of it? I mean, that's hard to say, and nobody really documents a holiday, but I mean, there are photos of it, yeah. The, Drew DeHurdy, I do not like Minecraft. Again, I don't play games. I'm not a gamer. I don't like that kind of stuff. Jake says, Alex, I asked my history what Kaiser meant as a joke. Then that whole period we learnt about United Kingdom, Germany, and Russian monarchs. Oh, shouldn't have asked then. All right, thank you, Rayanne, and thank you, everybody else. I'll see you all next time, everybody. Bye-bye.